Hey gang, we're here at week one of the Intro Bio course, and if you're watching this video, then that means you've completed this scavenger hunt, which we learned about the course and how things run. This week we're going to focus on human variation. So we're going to focus on how humans are different from each other, and in order to do that, we're going to do the Human Traits Lab. And the Human Traits Lab is you're going to learn how to perform certain calculations and how to make certain graphs. It's a jam-packed week. If you look at the tracking sheet, you notice that pretty much you have to have everything done this week. Um, so um, you're gonna have to spend some nights doing some homework. And this Human Traits Lab is due at the end of class on Friday, so Friday the 13th. Um, and then you're also going to have to take a quiz on the calculations and the graphs. And you're going to have to do that on the class right before the eighth grade trip. So if we look at the Human Traits Lab, you see that one part of it is just the instruction sheet. You're not going to hand that in, just has the instructions. You're going to record some of your data here, and then what you're going to actually hand in is the student sheet. So you'll see it's just a few pages, and you have to attach some graphs to these pages as well. So you're going to take certain measurements, and we see here, we see a hand span. So you're going to have to get a ruler. And then you're gonna measure from here to here. So you're gonna stretch it out and then put the ruler across. Then there's the reaction time, and so you're gonna need a partner for this. The partner is gonna hold the ruler like so. You're gonna put your finger like at the bottom, and then they're gonna let go, and you're going to do that 3 times, and the best of 3 will be your reaction time. There's some details on the lab. You're also going to do the jump, the broad jump. So this is you're standing here, you're going to jump like so, and see that distance in that jump. Here's some quick tips. One, notice that some of these traits require the ruler, some of these at the front. The broad jump requires actually the meter stick. And then in this part, you only require looking at yourself. So I would like for different groups to start at different places just to prevent a bottleneck. So some of your groups can start doing the measurements, while some of your groups start looking at traits. When you're doing the broad jump, for example, you probably have to leave the classroom to do that. Just make sure you're quiet when you're out in the hallway and not disrupting other classes. The other thing is that when it's time for the PTC tasting, I'll have the strips of paper with me. Make sure you rip the paper in half to share with your partner. So it should be a really cool lab, and you'll have to quantify some of this stuff in graphs. And so there are some instructions and a spreadsheet actually that you have to input your data in. And so we look at the spreadsheet. These are the test subjects here, and the data goes across here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pick one of these numbers to be a test subject, and you're gonna put your information going across. And at the bottom here are these are calculations. I've set it up so that the spreadsheet will automatically perform some of these calculations, like the mean and the confidence interval and correlation and so. And there's some calculations you have to make on your own, but the spreadsheet does a nice job of that. You're gonna make some bar graphs with error bars, histograms, scatter plots with line of best fit. And you'll have to watch some videos in order to learn how to do some of those things, to even know what some of those things are. So I strongly suggest that some of your homework this week is to watch some of those videos, especially the correlation video. I would suggest you do that at home. There's a Google form and some notes that you have to take. So you want to do that. Another thing, data collection, you can work with a partner. In fact, you should work with a partner, especially in the broad jump and the handspin and that stuff, you should have a partner doing that. But the actual work, so making the graphs and performing the calculations and writing the answers to the questions, that should be done completely individually. Now, one quick thing, as people put in your data, you're going to make a copy of your spreadsheet. You don't have to wait till every single person puts in their data. So if you look down here, you see the sample size. And I think if you get a pretty decent sample size of at least 20, and if you're ahead of other people, then go ahead and just make a copy of your spreadsheet. In order to do that, you have to be logged into a Google Drive. You go to File, and go to Make a Copy, and then that'll make a copy into your Google Drive account. So let's talk about the graphs. So the first set of graphs you're going to make are bar graphs, so for error bars. And you're going to make 3 of them. The first one you're going to make is comparing this year's handspan to 2011 and 2012 handspan. So you have you have 3 different bars, one for each year of handspan. Second bar graph you're going to make is about reaction time, and 1 bar will be for this year, 1 for last year, and 1 for the previous year. And then the third bar graph you're going to make is for broad jump. 1 bar would be for this year, last year, and the previous year. So that's 3 bar graphs, 1 for handspan over the years, 1 for reaction time over the years, and 1 for broad jump over the years. Now, when you're making your bar graphs for the different years, don't forget that this year's mean and margin of error is all the way down here. And for handspan, here you have the data, the mean and confidence intervals. And then for reaction time, you have it here. And then broad jump, you have the data here. So you are graphing the entire grade mean and confidence intervals. Now, the second set of graphs are the histograms. And the histograms, we're looking at only this year's data. We're going to make a histogram showing the handspan. So we'll get this data showing the handspan. The second histogram, we're going to show this year's reaction time data. And the third histogram, we're going to show the broad jump of this year's data. The third type of graph we're going to make are scatter plots. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare this year's handspan to this year's reaction time. This year's handspan to broad jump, and this year's reaction time to this year's broad jump. So there are 3 different combinations of these variables, and you're going to make a scatter plot comparing those. For the correlation values, you can scroll all the way down, and you can see the correlation values between these different variables. So let me know if you have questions, and I'm looking forward to some really great work this week.